Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Folks, we're going to talk about just 2 short stories this time. Both of them are pretty interesting. First one's written by Paul Danner. It's called Easy Credits. Now this one stars our favorite thief from the last story, Cian Skun, and he is now stealing an Imperial prototype. And you're thinking, wait a minute, Matt, you said he didn't join the rebellion. No, he hasn't, but he's doing deeds against the Empire once again. Now, is this finally the time where he decides, yeah, it's time for me to join the rebellion? You know what? This time I'm going to let you read it and find out for yourself. But I do enjoy the character Cian Skun. They did this a lot in Star Wars Adventure Journals. Actually, my Adventure Journals are up here. I don't know why I pointed that way. But they did this a lot in the Adventure Journals and in the RPG material where they brought back previous characters they had put in stories before. And it's a lot of times it was the same author just basically continuing their story, which is exactly what Paul Danner does. Now, Paul Danner's a really good guy. It was one of the names that whenever I saw it, I got excited because I said, oh, okay, he makes good stories, or interesting characters, I should say, which turn into great stories. And so he actually had some unpublished stories from, it was ordered by the Star Wars Adventure Journal. Of course, everything went kaput with West End Games, and he decided to go ahead and publish a lot of his unpublished, well, he published it online on his website. I don't know if it's still there, but Paul Danner does have a couple of unpublished stories that he had written for West End Games that never got published. They actually all are worth reading. Again, it was really nice of him to do that. This was way back in the day when I was looking. I mean, Disney had not bought Lucasfilm. There was plenty of EU out there, and I came across Paul Danner's site, and I saw of his, unpublished Star Wars Adventure Journals. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is fun. I mean, that's like the biggest treasure to me ever when I find something that I didn't know about in the expanded universe. But back then, I remember just being excited because there was some unpublished stuff out there. And oh boy, little did we know how good we had it back then, right? Anyway, the last story I want to talk about is called Lumiya. Ooh, Dark Star of the Empire. Now, this is written by Michael McAleenan and is in the Star Wars Galaxy issue number 3. Star Wars Galaxy was another short-lived magazine that basically came out for a couple of issues. It did have short stories in it, therefore I had to get it. I actually did enjoy Galaxy as well. I thought it was a good magazine. It had a lot of interesting stuff in it, and one of the things they wanted to do was one about Lumiya. Now, in this particular issue, she and some of her Crimson stormtroopers, that's right, Crimson stormtroopers, those are super cool too, they're basically attacking a research facility, or taking it back, I think. They're taking it back from the rebellion and putting it back in the Empire's hands. She's still thinking that she can run the Empire, even though she really only controls that contingent of troopers and a few ships. Lumiya does not have that much authority anymore. Now, this takes place shortly after 107, issue number 107 of the Marvel Star Wars. So remember, I told you you didn't know if she was dead. Like I said, she got shot. You see her arm and you see smoke, and that's about it. So you think maybe she died, but no, she didn't. Obviously, she escaped somehow, and now she's going throughout the galaxy, imposing her will again, although on a much smaller scale. When this came out, I did not know who Lumiya was. I did not know this character. I keep bouncing around her name because I really don't know how to pronounce it. But I didn't know who she was. I hadn't read the Marvel comic books before. And I guess when I read it, I thought, oh, that's interesting, and it moved on. Because I totally forgot that she had a story that came out, this was like in the mid-90s. So she was already becoming canon way before I found out more about her. And I knew about Lady Vader, probably maybe knew about Lumiya, but I didn't make the connection that she was brought into canon until I saw her come into the books. And when she came back in the books, I was like, oh, okay, and that's when I went back and read Marvel. So going through the timeline here, when I found this story, I was like, shut up. I had to check my issue of Galaxy to make sure it was true. I was like, why didn't I think something weird was going on when I read this? But Heck, it was the mid-90s, for crying out loud. I think I was still in high school when this came out, so I didn't care. It was like Star Wars, like, yeah, Star Wars, nom 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 nom, gobbling up all that tasty, tasty, juicy stories. It kind of sounds weird now. Anyway, so should you read this story? Sure, go ahead. I wish it made more connections to the comic book. I can see why it didn't, because back then, Marvel, the old Marvel comic books were still considered S-canon, which means some of the stuff, they didn't know how much they wanted to pull, but a few people were pulling things in. And I guess this was this guy's attempt to pull at least the character from the comic books into a short story and kind of pull her into C-canon, because he really liked her. And eventually they would pull the entire series into C-canon at the end. That's it for now. See you next time with another video.